Bumpy has plans but doesn't want anybody involved. Gigante is out of here. Wow. We got a new kid on the block and he's terrorizing everything. Joe Colombo helps Bumpy, and Stella got a plan that puts her in position, surprisingly. This is the season 4, episode 2 recap of the Godfather of Harlem family. This is called Country Boy. We're going to get into it and break it down, family. Let's go. Before we get started, make sure you check out my episode 1 of season 4 so you get caught up on everything so you don't miss anything. The episode starts off somewhere in the country, and we're seeing all the greenage and all the greenery, and we're seeing all of the signs, colored entrance here and colored entrance there, along the byways and the highways. And we're seeing a bus. Back in the day, that was the best way to cross the country. To get across the country was the Greyhound bus back in the day. And this was the means of transportation to get from south, east, northwest, and it was the cheapest way to go across country and to get to your destination. You would see bystanders waving to the bus as you are going by, and this time we are taking the bus to New York City. Who was on this bus, we don't know, but we see the buildings, we see the high rises, we're seeing everything about New York City. We're seeing the Empire State Building. So anybody coming from anywhere would definitely be impressed with all of this. And we see a young man step off the bus, and he is looking up at the high rises. Who is this guy? We don't know who this young man is, but he's here. And he is immediately met by a prostitute, of course, trying to solicit him for money. We see the guy on the street selling watches and everything else like that. And as he's walking down, he sees this guy with this other guy playing a game called 3 Card Marley. And he is saying, hey, find the queen and you can make some money, right? Put down 1, you can get 2. You put down 2, maybe you can get 4. And so he gets his money and he's playing the cards, and the guy picks a card, and if he picks the queen, he's going to win. Find the queen and you win. So he shuffles the cards around, and this is a game that was common back then in Manhattan to hustle, right? And the guy picks the queen and he wins, and he gets some money, and he's happy. He's like, you want to play again? He's like, nah, I gotta go. He's like, come on. And this young man is watching this game go down. It's like, oh, pretty simple, right? So he's like, hey, friend, how you doing? Welcome to New York. Would you like to play a game? He's like, well, I'm actually looking for Harlem. How do I get to Harlem? He says, yeah, you take the train A, B, and E. It's like, hey, if you're going to go to Harlem, you need to go up there with some cash, man. I'm telling you right now, all the ladies, they're going to fall for you, and you're going to need a wad. A wad is like just real cash, like a band of money, like a lot of money. That's a wad. So he's showing them his money, his little bit of money that he has. It's like, man, you would have already got a wad. He's like, hey, doesn't hurt to get more, right? So he tricks him into playing this game. And he's like, find the queen, find the lady, and you know how it goes, right? So he puts down $20, like, oh, big spender, right? So they play the game. This guy, of course, he's out to hustle this young man who just stepped off the bus. So the young man picks a card and he loses, and he doesn't pick the queen. It's a jack, right? A jack of clubs. He's like, hey, double or nothing, right? So at the end of the night, we see that same guy. He's counting his money, talking to this guy. Who is it? It's that same white guy from earlier. He's like, yo, how much did we make? Oh, we made about 180. Like, how much did you get from that country boy? Oh, about 60. So they're laughing. You're like, yo, what about this spot? Let's go check out this other spot, man. See if we can hustle over here. So these guys got a whole game where they're hustling people and making it look like the white guy won. But yeah, it's all a trick. So we hear, right? And who comes out of the shadows? This young man with a knife. And he's like, yeah, how long it take you to learn how to play this, right? He's like, yo, man, you want your stash back? Man, I'll give you your stash back, right? So he takes the money and he cuts him in his hand. Of course, the guy, he's screaming. He's on the ground. He's like, oh, okay, now you can play the game with one hand, Yeah, you asked me for my name before, right? And being there with friends, right? So he takes his money out of his pocket, got the $180, right? It's like, yeah, you wanted to know my name now, huh? Well, my name is Frank Lucas. So now enters Frank Lucas comes to New York. This is the country boy that they was talking about. He is now here. So as we head up to Harlem, we see a whole bunch of garbage, and this garbage has been set in front of Bumpy's club. You got Junie, you got Nat, and you got Dell. And like, what the heck is going on? Junie reaches down and sees, yeah, the cannoli spot. This is Chin Gigante's doing. And they're like, yeah, he was probably mad, when Bumpy kicked him out in the whole nine, right? So, Bumpy has to go and see Chin about this, right? Says, yeah, we got, Bumpy outside. What the heck is going on? Why do I have garbage in front of my place? You don't got the right to do that. And Chin is like, see, that's the problem with you people. You think you have something, right? You think you have the right of anything. He's like, what's going on, man? He's like, I told you, man, I know you got that project going on, and I want in on your project. He's like, listen, I told you no, man. I told you no. He's like, look, man, if this doesn't happen, man, you're just gonna see more garbage. And then Bumpy's like, look, if this happens and you continue to do this, man, it's gonna be war, man. Period. I don't want the families involved. I told you no before. It's gonna be war if you keep doing this. Period. So Chin is just pushing his luck. He wants to be part of this project, for the housing. Has nothing to do with him. Of course, he's trying to muscle his way and try to muscle on your boy Bumpy, and Bumpy ain't having it. Stella's there. He tried to ask her to leave, but he's like, yo, I hope you get that. It's gonna be war if your father doesn't stop. Stella tries to talk to Chin and say, hey, man, look, he did you a favor by giving you the doogie, getting out of doogie business, and you're going too far. And Chin is like, nah, it doesn't matter. We're going to go to war. And of course, Stella's like, come on. You're going too far with this, period. Like, relax. Now, back in Rikers, we got Omar. Elise is visiting him, and he's getting beat up from what it seems. And she's like, is it people from, the mosque? Nah, these are regular people. I was protecting Malcolm, and they think I took him out, because as Portia's saying. So she's like, you know what? We're going to do something about this. This is crazy. This is an injustice. And he's like, you know what, maybe it's my fate because I didn't protect Malcolm the way I should have. And maybe this is how it's supposed to be, And of course, Elise is like, nah, not having that. She's a fighter. She wants nothing but comfort for him. And here we have Delia Green, and she's back on the scene. If you remember her from past episodes, she was the mother to Teddy, and, Stella used to mess around with Teddy. So Delia had to leave town because, Chin was after her son and everything, and they got to him. But now she's back, and, Stella's like, hey, how you doing? How's your younger son? He's like, oh, he's good. He's going to be just as good as Teddy. And yeah, by the looks on their face, yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable that Stella is working with her father, and we know how Chin gets. So she's just like, yeah, it is what it is, but it's good to see you. So now here we are with Mayme, and she is meeting with Alice Bradshaw, and she is the head of the art district and this art organization. And we see that, yes, this young lady is serving Mayme, and kind of threw Mayme off, but she's like, yes, I'm happy to be here. I love the East Side, and Mayme's just, I'm happy that you guys are willing to work with me, and I have a lot of ideas of artists from Harlem that you could definitely display. And Alice is just like, hey, the board flat out doesn't want to work with you because they don't want to work with a wife of a gangster. And of course, once again, this is a roadblock for Mayme. And she's like, listen, my husband is legit now. He served his time. And of course, they are really giving her a hard time. And, Alice is just like, no gangster is really legit. But of course, Mayme's trying to kiss her butt so she can just get in where she can fit in. Get these artists on board, and they talk about James Baldwin and how Mayme, is impartial to him. And she's like, oh, I love James Baldwin. He's so charming, right, when we see him on TV. And she's like, yeah, he reminds me of a chocolate frog. And it's like, whoa. Mayme take another drink. So here we are, your boy Frank Lucas finally gets a place, and the guy wants to charge him $100 for a really, really terrible looking spot. And he's like, look, this is what it is, 2 months on straight. He's like, here it is. And he comes up a little bit short and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna come up with it. Don't worry more. I'm definitely gonna get more. So Frank Lucas is establishing himself. He found a spot in Harlem. Now it's time for him to go out and do what he needs to do and start being a stick-up kid to get his money one way or another. There's a reason why he's here. We're gonna find out very soon, but he has this spot. Now it's time for him to get to work. To whatever he's doing, Frank Lucas is gonna find a way. Now Stella, she goes to see Joe Colombo, right? She sees the guys. Hey, nice to see you. And she's like, hey, what's happening? He's like, hey, what's going on with you to time? What's going on? He's like, I got some news for you, Chen is trying to go against Bumpy. He's like, oh, that's great news. That's great news. Colombo doesn't like Bumpy at all, right? Doesn't like Chen either. He's like, yeah, but that's bad news because it's going to mess up business. She's like, look, I got a plan and I want you to be a part of it, but you're going to have to help out Bumpy in this. And we got to take my father out of Harlem. We got to get him out of here because it's bad for business. And your boy Joe Colombo's like, what? Looking like, for real, you want me to help Bumpy? Yeah, I got a plan. I'm putting it together. And yeah, you're going to help me out. You need to do me a favor because I did you a favor. Sits down with Bumpy. And she's like, yeah, it's been a long time. Bumpy's like, it's been too long. She's like, yeah, I wanted to talk to you. She's like, I hope this is not about Omar. She's like, look, he's in there and they're beating him up. And he's like, it's only right that they beat him up, Basically, he was supposed to be protecting Malcolm. He didn't do his job. She's like, just can you just help out? I know you got people inside. Can you just do something to help him out, just to protect them? All right, I'm just asking one thing. And then the scene cuts. Back at Bumpy's spot, you got the white folks, they coming out, they're having a good time and the whole nine. And then this one guy comes out. He's about to walk away and the guy says, surprise. And who is it? We don't know, but these people looking back like, oh my God, what is going on? Somebody's getting mugged. Yeah, somebody is taking the guy's watch and everything else that, taking his money. He's like, what is going on? Who is this guy mugging this white guy? Why is this happening? Oh man, it's your boy Frank Lucas, and he is bumping off people. And yeah, he's taking people's stuff right in front of Bumpy's spot. This is not good. It's like, yeah, you're not going to miss it, right? So, of course, Del and Nat, they're just like, man, are you okay? It's like, yo, this is not good, man. These white folks are going to stop coming uptown if they coming up here and they're getting, robbed. This is not good for business. Man, we got to let Bumpy know. And you know what? Let's set something up. In fact, we're going to put guards on the street. And when this happens, or if this happens again, at least we'll know and find out exactly who's doing this, right? We think it's Chen going at Bumpy again, right? So here's Stella, and she seems to be drinking somewhere. And yeah, she's sitting down with your boy Bumpy. He's like, hey, you came uptown. She's like, yeah, I'm here. I got a plan, and it's not good for my father to go to war with you. I'm trying to advise him, but he's not taking my advice. And he's like, okay, so what do you want from me? She's like, looking, I got a plan to get him out of Harlem and, get him out of Harlem for good. He's like, all right, I'm all ears, I'm all ears because I don't want war. This is not good for anybody. So another guy, he goes out back to take a piss. And then there goes Frank Lucas again, trying to rob this guy. But he doesn't get far because your boy Del got the strap on him and says, turn around, Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Don't you move, right? So, yeah, you got Nat, you got Del, and they got him at strap point. So, your boy Del comes in. He's wiping off his fist and everything. He's like, what's going on? What's the word? He's like, yeah, this country boy don't know nothing. He don't know nothing about a Chen Gigante. And we've been beating on him for about an hour, and he ain't giving up no information. He's like, so he doesn't know anything. He's like, nah, man, this country boy don't know nothing. He's fresh off of the bus. He don't know nothing about nobody. He's like, all right. So they bring him in. He sits down. He's like, I finally get beat. The great Bumpy Johnson. He's like, you know me? He's like, yeah, South Carolina boy up here in New York. He's like, oh, that's where you from? He said, nah, I'm from the North. But we heard all about you. He's like, yo, you got respect for me. Why you taking out cats right in front of my joint? He's like, I didn't know it was your joint. He's like, yeah, Geechee didn't give it away. Della's like, Geechee did give it away? He's like, nah. He's like, you don't really read, huh? She's like, nah, I don't really read like that. He's like, yeah, so, why you here? You don't know a Gigante, Joe Colombo? He's like, I don't know nothing about these cats. I just came up here to meet you, man. Like, put me on, man. Put me on and show me how you made it. I want to make it just like you. Put me on, put work. I want to learn from you. He's like, yeah, well, what can you do? Like, I could do anything you want. He's like, I got these two guys right here. And he's like, well, I could cut a hog and skin him out real good and all this and that. And your boy, and it's just like, nah, I don't have any hogs for you to skin. So it's all good. Thank you for, coming up here, whatever, but I don't got no work for you right now. And that's basically the conversation and the first of many conversations that will happen between Frank Lucas and Bumpy Johnson, as you know history. Mayme is drinking. It's noontime. And, Elise is like, yeah, drinking. Kind of crazy. She's like, well, somebody's drinking somewhere. And Elise is coming to Mayme for advice, on, Omar. It's like Omar is her world. She doesn't have anything else. And Mayme's like, yo, you're stronger than that. Like, without Omar, you're going to be fine too. You're way stronger and you're going to get through this. And, I'm expecting nothing less, being strong and moving on and moving through this. She's like, I got to meet with this white lady because I've been kissing her butt. And she called James Baldwin a chocolate frog. And she's like, yeah, you're going to definitely need a drink because you're dealing with that type of, situation right there. So it is what it is. So Mayme brings Alice Bradshaw to Mayme's favorite spot in Harlem. She says it's so authentic. She introduces her to Delia as one of her best friends from back in the day. And she's like, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. What do you recommend? And she's like, yeah, can you give me a martini? He's like, I'm sorry, we don't serve drinks here. We give you some iced tea. And, Mayme's like, the smothered pork is good too. She's like, that's a little extreme, but I'm open to it. So she's bringing Alice to this whole new world. And she's sitting down with her to really just share with her, all the great artists in Harlem that's coming up. And she should display them in a new place and call it the New Harlem, right? And, Alice Bradshaw seems to be very impressed with the idea. And she's like, well, will you have James Baldwin write something up and we can meet him? She's like, well, anything is possible. Anything is possible. She's letting her know that, we the Johnsons, we know everybody. So Alice is very impressed and maybe this will go down, right? So now we got your boy Omar. We're back with Omar and he's just kind of like losing faith. Like, this is my destiny. She's like, well, I talked to my dad and I don't know if he's going to do anything or not. But this guy's just like, man, you just need to move on with your life for real. Like, trying to tell Elise, like, this is it for him. He's going to put all his trust in Allah. He said that's the same thing Malcolm did before they took him out, and that he's going to do the same thing, put his trust in Allah and see what happens from there. And Elise, again, she's not taking answers. She doesn't want to lay down and sit down and allow this to happen, allow him to be taken out in jail like this. She still has faith because to her, Omar is her world. And without Omar, there is nothing for her. Definitely there's more for her. So now we see this truck outside and we see these Italian guys. They're uptown and Chen is getting very forceful because they are now selling Doogie uptown where Bumpy and Chen said they wouldn't, right? So Junie comes out with an address. He says, yo, this is Frank Lucas's address. Bumpy wants to do something and wants to use him for something, right? We don't know what it is yet. So they go and see your boy Frank Lucas. He's standing there and looking outside and they knocking on the door. He said, yo, open up this door, man. He was going to get you. We would have already broken and got you, right? So he hobbles over to the door because remember, Elle and Nat beat him up pretty bad. So Frank comes in and he's like, all right, listen, man, I got some business for you. He's like, oh, you got a hog for me, right? What do we need to do? And he's like, well, you kind of hobbling there, right? He's like, you guys beat me up pretty bad. He's like, yo, you want a second round? Della's like, you want a second round? The boy Frank is like, takes out his switchblade, like, come on over again, try it again. They going at it. Dell Lucas is probably going to have a problem because, Dell is kind of right hand. Eventually, Frank Lucas will become Bumpy's right hand man. So this is kind of like macho-y macho, kind of slinging their slungs. And Bumpy's like, come on, man, we don't need this, man. Like, go outside, Dell. He's like, I'm not going outside. This man got a blade on you. So Frank puts it away, right? Puts his blade away. Del goes outside, right? So now Bumpy's like, look, I got some work for you, and I want you to take care of this guy. He's like, oh, you got a hog? He's like, yeah, what you want me to do? You want me to take him out? He's like, nah, I want you to rob him blind, right? And you already know, Frank robs people for a living. That's what he does. He's a stick-up kid in Harlem. So they're going to put him to rob Chin, and they're going to set it all up to get Chin robbed, right? So we see this guy. He has a delivery, right? Because they are delivering a whole bunch of keys to the family, and they have it in this truck here. And what happens? Frank has a mask on. He jumps onto the side, has the strap on this guy. He's like, pull over in the alleyway right now. I'm not going to tell you twice. He's like, do you know who stuff this is? Like, I don't care. Roll up in that alley right there, right? So they roll in the alley, right? Frank has him at strap point, hanging on to the truck, tells him to get out, gives him his strap, and he's like, look, I want you to go in the back and open the trunk, right? But how many people are in there? He's like, yeah, two guys. Yeah, man, you need to walk away from this, man. You don't know who stuff this is. He's like, listen, I don't care. Go ahead and tell these guys they better throw their straps out. So they threw the straps out and the whole nine. He's like, give me those bags. So they gave him the bags. He's like, yo, man, what is this? Like, yo, they're just cannolis, right? They're just cannolis. Takes a box of the cannolis. He got the 2 bags of doogie, right? He locks them in the trunk and the whole nine. And this guy, right on the spot, says, you know what, let me try this. The cannoli, he's like, oh, this is mad good, right? So Frank is just like bugging because it's the first time he had a cannoli. He's like, these are real good, right? So he just robbed these guys. And now he is walking down the street with these bags with a whole bunch of doogie in it, right? Like 60 keys that was supposed to all the families. And he's walking down. He's watching his back, doesn't know who's, watching him or anything, but this guy pulled it off, right? He's walking down, he's smiling, pulled off his first job for Bumpy Johnson, and this is huge. So we're back in records, and we see that Omar is praying, and at the same time, Elise is praying as well, and she's praying for Omar's protection. At the same time, we get a clip of Frank doing his thing as well. And then we see these guys run up in the spot. They beat up Omar and they jig him. And yeah, he says, anybody that takes Malcolm X, we're going to take them out. And he just about to hit him. And the guard grabs his hand. He says, not if you want to hear from Bumpy Johnson. Yeah, that's right. He's protected by Bumpy Johnson. And if you don't want to hear from Bumpy Johnson, then you'll stop right now. Get up out of here. He's like, Bumpy Johnson. Gets him up out there. I wonder how they got that, that gate open place. But yeah, Omar, he's in massive pain. His life is spared. And it looks like all of Elise's efforts and her prayers are definitely coming through. And her father actually decided to make some calls to protect Omar because, yeah, Omar means a lot to Elise. And she continues to go to Bumpy to ask for Omar's protection. And it definitely happens. So Frank walks in. He's like, yo, what's going on? And he has the 2 bags and he puts the bags on a table. And Del and Nat are standing there, right? And they're looking at it. He's like, man, this guy pulled it off, right? He's like, of course I did, right? Yeah. Right? He got the 60 keys of the doogie, right? In these 2 bags. He made it happen just like he said he would. And they're looking at him like, yeah, whatever, man. He pulled it off. But of course, Nat is like, I still don't trust him, right? And Frank is like, yo, man, Bumpy had to get the smartest guy to get the job done, and I got it done, right? And they're like, yo, get the F out of here, right? Del, he doesn't like Frank at all. He's like, get the F out of here, right? And of course, Frank is like, all right, it is what it is, right? He's smiling like, yeah, I got it done, B. It is what it is. So they're like, man, we don't trust this guy, man. This guy really did pull it off. This is not good for them, but it's definitely good for Frank. So Chin's guy's like, listen, man, we got robbed. This one guy, yeah, he took all of the doogies. Like, are you telling me that one guy stood up against the 3 of you guys? Come on, man. And of course, Chin is like, this gotta be Bumpy. This gotta be Bumpy. And Stella's like, nah, not necessarily. This may not be Bumpy at all, man. What are you talking about? It's like, listen, we gotta go to war. We gotta do this right now. We gotta roll on his chest. She's like, look, if it is Bumpy, why don't you have a sit down with Bumpy? And, we'll go from there, because if you go out there right now and go against him, yeah, his families are going to blame you either way. So why don't you just have a sit down with him and go from there? She's like, you know what, man, you're a genius. Stella, you're a genius. This is all part of Stella's plan, by the way. And of course, this guy's like, this seems a little fishy or whatever. But yeah, this is all part of Stella's plan to get her father out of Harlem. So your man Joe Colombo's going crazy. He's like, what's going on? I was supposed to get the doogie and this and that. Stella, you told me I was going to get this, da-da-da. And she's just chilling, smoking a little cig. She's like, look, man, it's part of the plan, man. Just go along with the plan. He's like, so who has it? Bumpy has it? And he gets mad. He's like, yeah, but how am I going to get mine? It's like, look, just go along with the plan. And I need you to go have a sit down with them. And I want you to support Bumpy. This is all part of the plan, okay? This is the way we get my father out of Harlem and get him out of the doogie business. Except I'm going to run it, and we're going to run it together, all right? And I want my piece, just like I said. He's just going to have to get it through me. He's like, this is crazy, right? Joe Colombo going to support Bumpy. So they all go to the sit down, right? They have a sit down. Chin is there. The families are there. And your boy Joe Colombo's there. He knows the plan. He knows what to do, right? So Chin is like, look, I know for sure it got to be Bumpy that took the doogie and all of this and that. And we need to go and roll on him and eliminate him right now. And yeah, he's ready to go. And the guy's like, well, let's do it. And here goes Joe Colombo. Well, I don't necessarily think it was Bumpy, but if it is, why don't we hear from the man himself? So who walks in? Bumpy walks in the door. He sits down with the families. He says, yep, it's true. I do have your doogie. I have all the doogie. He said, I want what I want, though. And what does he want? You know, he wants Chin out of the game, right? Wants Chin out of it. He wants to be left alone. He's like, look, I'm not in the doogie business anymore, and I'll be willing to give it back. Of course, your boy, Joe Colombo, is like, yeah, we need to get Chin out of here. Because Chin, you know, he seems to be wanting war, and we want our doogie. So, you know, I think we should go on with what Bumpy's saying, because Bumpy doesn't want war. He wants to give the doogie back and to have peace and to be left alone. But this guy right here, Chin, he wants to go to war, which is not good for business, right? It's not good for business for anybody, right? So Joe Colombo is looking like the smart guy here. Chin is looking like the barbarian. And yeah, of course, Bumpy's going along. And they're like, so you're saying that if you give the doogie, we leave you alone? Our doogie's like, yeah, I'll give it back. I'm in the game anymore. I'm not in the doogie business anymore. I'll give it to you guys. Chin just got to go. So they take a vote, and your man takes a vote with one of his fingers gone. And Chin is like, this is crazy. I can't believe this. You guys are doing this to me. Of course, Joe is like sipping on his tea like, you're out of here, buddy. The family's voted you out. You're gone. And Bumpy's like, yeah, you've been a menace to me, and you got to go too. You dropping garbage off. All you want is war. We want peace. It's like, you guys are just traitors. You're traitors. Tommy, you're a traitor. And Tommy's yelling at him, man, you cut my finger off, man. Go ahead. Get up out of here. Yeah. Get up out of it. Tommy's going off on him because, yeah, you remember he cut his off for all of this and that, right? So Chin is out of the families. He's done. Of course, Joe Colombo went along with the plan, Stella's plan, and it worked. He's out of here. And yeah, your boy's going to give it to the family. But again, he got to watch his back, because still Joe Colombo is a shiesty guy. So Chin sits down with Stella. He's like, look, I know this was part of your plan. You're a smart girl. I already know. And she's like, but? He's like, don't say nothing. Just take a drink. He's like, yo, look, you did all of this, man. You're smart. You sure you want backstab your brother and do this and do that? And you want this life? And she's like, yeah, I want this life. So Chin is like, it's yours. You're going to be the boss going forward. And he grabs a hand and they hold hands, and gangsters don't die. They go to Miami, so who knows? But Chin is out of here. He's going to go to Miami. He's going to go wherever he's going to go. They cheered up one last time, and he looks at him one last time, and looks like we won't see Chin for a very, very long time, but he's out of the game. And now we have a new boss representing the Gigante family. That's Stella. Now we got this girl looking at your boy Frank Lucas. He got a little girlfriend now with his new spot and a little bit of money. And then he has something on this table, and he takes it up. He takes this blanket off, and it's the whole bunch of doogie. And she's like, yo, what the heck is going on? Isn't that Bumpy stuff? Well, yeah, I mean, I got it all, but I ain't give it all to him. I got a couple for myself. She's like, are you crazy? What's gonna happen when they find out? Look, they never gonna find out. It's a lot going on, but Frank Lucas is saying to her, man, Bumpy gotta watch himself before he tries to play Frank Lucas, right? And she's like, oh, looking at him like, you serious? Like, this dude is wild, right? Frank Lucas, he's gonna do what he has to do with his own little doogie. And yeah, he's gonna make his way to the scene of Harlem, because remember, your boy Bumpy's still out of the game, but Frank is gonna do what he has to do in order to get his wins. There it is, family. That is the end of the episode. We got a new guy in town, Frank Lucas. What's gonna happen next? We shall see on the next episode of The Godfather of Harlem.